It's time now for a bigger picture with Dr. Dan from Sioux Falls Hypnosis. Hello, sir.
And hello to you.
Excited to visit with you. Hope you had a nice 4th of July.
It was wonderful.
And you got all your fingers, so that means that's
didn't
good.
lose a thing this
That's
year.
the best.
It's the best. Didn't burn anything down either.
You can still hear. That's always good. That's all.
There you go. Yep. Got all my 5 senses. We're in good shape.
So today we're going to talk about conscious. Is that a sense or is that something different than a sense?
Well, it was interesting. I've been listening to a conversation lately about conscience. Are you born with it? Do you, what exactly is it?
Yeah.
How does it work? Because people are always talking about, some folks don't have a conscience. When we talk about sociopaths or psychopaths, the question is always, do these people have a conscience? And it's interesting because from going on 3 decades of working with people, there's an interesting thing that an idea I'd like to forward to you. Okay. We'll start with you, and then we'll see how the greater public feels about it.
Oh, no.
First of all,
I'm taking the brunt of this, folks.
The question about whether you're born with it, what you are, I believe that largely for the vast majority of people, conscience is learned. Okay? It is learned. We learn it, when we're young. And we learn it primarily through our interactions with our parents, specifically with our ability to take a no, which we've talked about before.
Oh, yeah.
Conscience is born in a child in the interaction between the kid and the parent and the kid's ability to take a no. Yeah. Can they take a no and be okay? And then can they take a no and be okay and then understand there's probably a good reason for it? That's really the kind of the 2-step process where conscience is born.
Okay.
I don't rule out other things, but let's just start with that. If you disagree with that, I don't know what to do.
No, I agree with that. That makes sense to me.
It is born. We learn to have one. Now, the interesting thing that I've noticed about people is folks seem to think that you either have a conscience or you don't. And so, these people don't have a conscience, and everybody else, you and me, and we do have a conscience, right? Yeah. But from working with people, one of the interesting things that I've discovered is I don't think conscience is something that we like. It's an all or nothing phenomena. I think and this is from decades of working with people, that our conscience can be very highly functional in certain aspects, certain contexts, certain relationships in our life, and not so highly functional in others.
There you go.
And so I think that this is one of the things I've noticed about people is that, regarding work, regarding things that align with their values, things that they care about, things that they're personally engaged in, their conscience will tend to be very highly functional and very highly developed, and it will work usefully and appropriately as far as aligning their behaviors to what they believe and so on and so forth. But there's other aspects in your life where your conscience isn't that functional. And your behavior and your values will not be aligned.
Nice.
And so what I'm suggesting here is that this is normal.
Yeah.
And this is a phenomenon that we find in everybody. And this is one of the things where, people, it's hard for people to explain themselves to themselves or explain themselves to others because, why would they do that? That's not who they are. That's not who I thought they were. And we really struggle with that, not only in ourselves but in other people. And one of the things that I would suggest is that this is normal.
Yeah.
This is who people are. And when you're looking at somebody, you better be ready to take in the fact that they are one person, in one setting, in one context, and they're another person in another. It's that whole idea, you got to take the good with the bad.
Is that sometimes the difference between their public life and their private life, or is
that could be one way to? Some people are function one way when people are watching them, and function another way when no one is watching.
Well, and I've seen people where, as a person, their family, everywhere, they're wonderful, but then they, do something, their business that, they are taking advantage of people, and that's what their business is, and they have no problem with that, but they're kind to their friends, they're kind to their family, and it's like two different people almost.
Yes, and this is the phenomena that I'm talking about, and the only reason I bring this up is to state that this is normal. This is who we are as people, and we can't expect not to encounter this in other human beings. We can't be shaken by it or offended by it, because not only is everybody is this way to some extent, but you and I are as well.
Yeah.
And to be able to recognize that in ourselves and be able to coexist with it in other people. Now, I'm not saying it's okay, because really that's something that you should want to get a hold of. It should bother you.
Absolutely.
It should be something where if you're looking at yourself in the mirror, and if you're struggling with some aspect of that, it would be a wonderful thing to address and change. Because again, conscience is learned. And we are always at our healthiest when we are whole.
Yeah.
When we don't function one way in one setting and one way or another, we're going to be happier.
Where everything is all cohesive and works together.
Right, where there's only one of us. There's only one person. I'm not one person here and one person there, because then there's sort of two of me then. And so I deal with this a lot because this is something that hypnosis does very well, is deal with this whole idea that there's sort of one self operating in one context and another self that operates in another context. And hypnosis does a wonderful job of being able to bring those together and create a whole person.
Nice.
That functions in a more consistent and useful way across all aspects of your life. And really, another word for that is just maturity.
Oh, yeah.
When we are mature, when we are one person consistent with our beliefs across all context, aspects, relationships in our life. And again, if this is something you're looking in the mirror struggling with, this is worth working on. It's worth addressing. This can be changed, and so much for the better. Change your life.
You probably do that by tapping into our subconscious, things that we don't even necessarily know we're doing, but we're doing it, and that's where
because a lot of this is unconscious to us.
Yeah.
A lot of it is. Some of it is conscious, but some of it is unconscious. But just... Again, this is just one of the things that hypnosis does really well.
If somebody listening is going, you know what, I could utilize some help in that area, because maybe they know this is something that they struggle with, but they struggle with it and they don't realize, why am I like this? And then I have this, why at work am I such a nice person, but then at home I snap instantly and I have these problems. If they would like some assistance, getting some of that under control, what is the best way for them to connect with you?
You can find us on the internet at SiouxFallsHypnosis.com, or you can call us directly at 605-702-6691.
Very nice. Again, Sioux Falls Hypnosis. Dr. Dan has been our guest today. If you would like to hear this program again, if you're catching the tail end of it and you're going, okay, hey, you got my interest there, we save each of these as a podcast as well, and you can find that at SiouxFallsPodcast.com.